I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Donald Trump gave a completely vile, depraved, and disgusting speech in Philadelphia on Friday. He was greeted to boos and getting cursed at before he arrived at the Moms of Liberty convention, where the group talked about how they could ban more books and try to prevent diversity in education, and celebrated the horrific Supreme Court ruling that has taken away people's freedom. Let me give you some of the lowlights of Donald Trump's speech. In this portion of the speech, Donald Trump talked about how he wants to totally obliterate the deep state. Like, you have the Democrats talking about jobs and education and lowering prescription drug prices and focusing on veterans and seniors and protecting Social Security and protecting Medicare. Donald Trump in this speech, I'm just going to obliterate the deep state. Here, play this clip.
When I get back at the Oval Office, I will totally obliterate the deep state. Remember, we didn't know if there was a deep state. People would say, yeah, I don't know. Now about everybody thinks, yeah, there's a deep state. It's a bad, I call it a bad state.
In this next clip, it seems like Donald Trump briefly glitches out and admits that he lost the 2020 election. Play this clip.
2020, we thought we won. I mean, I didn't talk about the election too much because I thought we won that election so easy. We were going to win it. And what they did was beyond any belief. They used COVID in order to cheat. But I thought we were just going to win, so we didn't talk about it. And a lot of the things that we said, like we're creating a strong border, it's very interesting.
In this next clip, Trump tells the Mom for Liberty audience that if he were to be elected, his policy would be allowing parents to elect principals of schools every year. Don't they want to ban the Department of Education? Like they just don't understand the way government works and just have the most bizarre and dangerous policies. Play this clip.
I will fight for the direct election of school principals by parents, so that if you have a lousy principal, and you got some beauties out there, but if you have a bad principal who's not getting the job done, the parents will, under the Trump administration, be allowed to vote to fire that principal to select someone who will do a great job.
I think it was Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, said that, 1/3 of the things that Donald Trump asked us to do was illegal. The other 1/3 of things he asked us to do was impossible. And the other 1/3 of things was just completely and utterly stupid and bafflingly dumb. Came from Donald Trump's former chief of staff. Another clip from Donald Trump's speech. Again, what are Democrats talking about? Jobs, education, protecting a woman's right to control her body, Social Security, manufacturing. Let's make our economy work for most Americans, for 99% of Americans. Let's focus on making it work for all Americans, not just the 1%. I mean, just think about the Democratic message. Just like, let's do things for people. Here, Donald Trump talks about how turns out I did nothing wrong. They got me on nothing. Wow, that's nothing. I mean, it's a mess of a speech. Play this clip.
It turns out with me, I did nothing wrong. They go after people that did nothing wrong. They use disinformation and everything else. But if anybody else was standing up here or the front runner, if I was in 3rd place, 4th place, or wasn't running, there wouldn't be anything. They would have said he's one of the most honest presidents we've ever had, but they wouldn't be interested in that. A friend of mine said, if I ever went under the scrutiny that you have, he's a very successful guy. He said, they would have got me on hundreds of things. Remember with me? They got me on nothing. Got me on nothing. And all of the things that they do have, it's like the pundits are saying, wow, that's nothing.
Oh, by the way, on a related note, there is Walt Nauta, spotted Donald Trump's co-defendant, who apparently has time to get a cheesesteak at Pat King of Steaks in Philadelphia, but was not able to secure a lawyer at the last date of his arraignment. By the way, Walt Nauta is going to go to jail for a really long time. Walt Nauta is like going to go to jail, I think, for decades based on the crimes that he committed. Oh, and here we got Donald Trump talking about how bragging about the Supreme Court's recent rulings that have taken away people's freedoms, these radical, extreme Supreme Court rulings. And Trump bragged that he's the reason for it by appointing 3 Supreme Court justices. And if he were to be elected again, he'd try to appoint 3, 4 more and try to get all the Supreme Court justices appointed. Play this clip.
Many presidents never get the opportunity to appoint a Supreme Court justice. I had 3. They are going. They are not happy about that. And maybe we'll get 3 or 4 more. Can you imagine? Let's get 7. Let's have 7 or 8 or maybe even 9.
Just to show you that's how dangerous he is. I mean, what horrific decisions reached this week. The Supreme Court striking down President Biden's student debt relief program. The Supreme Court stating that businesses that are open to the public can discriminate against protected groups by just claiming that it's their First Amendment right. And they could put signs on that they don't want to do business with the LGBTQ plus community and that they have a free speech right to do that as part of their creative talents. That's what the Supreme Court ruled. The Supreme Court ruled that colleges can't even factor in diversity in making admissions decisions at all, a departure from decades and decades of precedent. And of course, you've got last year's Dobbs decision overturning Roe v. Wade, decades and decades and decades of Supreme Court precedent overturned, saying that government should control a woman's body, that people like Donald Trump and Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan should be making the decisions to control a women's body. And by the way, when I say the Supreme Court, these are 6-3 decisions, with these 6 justices appointed by MAGA Republicans like Donald Trump, or before that, George W. Bush, or even George H.W. Bush. The 6 are radical right extremist Republicans who are just overturning all precedent and creating this dystopia. But here, Donald Trump is just bragging about it right there. That's why it is so important and so critical that we vote and make sure that Supreme Court justices and judges are reflective of true freedom and democracy and not these radical Trump judges. Oh, and by the way, here is Steve Bannon bringing his daughter on his show, and his daughter and the other guests together were at this convention, and one of the things that they were talking about is the dancing going on outside was so explicit that bothered him. Everything bothers him. Play this clip.
These rallies, you follow President Trump around so much. Talk to me about it.
Yes, so the protesters have been rather aggressive. I know that they were advertising for a type of dance protest. And when we checked it out earlier today, there was a lot of sexually explicit dancing going on, and there were children around, which really gets to the core of this event. We're trying to protect children from hypersexualization, from what's going on in the schools, from this woke agenda, and really make it the core of 2024. Last night.
Why are these protesters, why have they targeted specifically Moms for Liberty?
They have targeted Moms for Liberty because Moms for Liberty speaks the truth. They're fighting to protect the child. And we see, especially what we've seen at these Pride events, the left doesn't want to protect the children. They want to sexualize children. And that's what Moms for Liberty is fighting against. And that's why there's so many protesters that have been here today to fight against that.
Folks, last weekend, I spent the day Sunday with the Santa Clarita Democrats, 27th Congressional District in California. Congressional District currently represented by Mike Garcia, MAGA Republican. I spent the day making postcards and helping the whole crew with their canvassing efforts. And that's how I spent my Sunday. We have less than 500 days until the election. It is so vital that we do something right now, that we get involved, that we get engaged. Share these videos, but make sure that anybody you know is registered to vote for democracy, please. It is so vital. You could be the deciding factor. It's not too early to start this. Now's the perfect time to focus on promoting our democracy. Get the word out. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your incredible support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Hit subscribe on our YouTube. It's free. Download our audio podcast as well at the MeidasTouch Podcast. Have a great day.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.